Hello guys, and welcome to 7 days of metabolic effective eating detox. Right, the purpose of this video is just to help you guys through the first 7 days of detox. Detox will commence before we go on to the next phase of metabolic effective eating, which we'll discuss in other videos. But for now, all you need to worry about is the first 7 to perhaps 10 days. And I just want to explain what the benefits of detox actually are and why we need to detox. So hopefully you'll have a hard copy of the 7 days of metabolic effective eating detox introduction. That does give an overview. If you haven't got that, I'll be happy enough to send that out to you. By all means, email me at tony@fitsolutions, spelt on your screen there, PHIT, solutions.co.uk, and I'll be happy enough to send you a copy of this introduction, which we'll be discussing, and also to send you the actual 7-day plan, which gives you the breakfasts, the lunches, and the dinners, and an idea of what we should snack on. So what we're going to do is just go through the kind of benefits of detox and why we'll all see fast improvements in day-to-day function just by introducing key foods and avoiding other foods. So what we've probably found is that we've reached a point after some particularly unhealthy choices in food. Perhaps we've been on holiday, or there's been a special occasion, a birthday, or we've just reached a point where we know that we need to make some changes. So we need to be careful with our food choices and make that decision of which diet to choose. So this is detox. It's not a fad diet. It's been around for a long time. Lots of celebrities will probably lay claim to this being the diet. It's not a diet that you should follow week in, week out. It should only be a kickstart. So benefits, what the benefits will include, although initially when you do start detox, you might find that some of the benefits that you do get later, you might have as a kind of side effect initially. So watch those. It's not something to worry about unless it goes on for a period longer than the 7 or 10 days. We should expect that in the first 2 or 3 days, but then you will see fast improvements. Those headaches that you might experience will have gone, and you'll find that you'll have less headaches in future. Complexion will improve, mental focus, you'll feel a lot sort of clear on your thinking process and decisions that you make. You'll have a lot more energy when you're training or your day-to-day sort of routine. You will find that you've got more energy. So we need to go over that first hurdle, because we've gone through a process of where we've removed food that has toxins and chemicals and a kind of side effect, and it's the brain actually sending messages asking for those foods that you've probably had month in, month out, year in, year out. It now does not understand why those foods are not being put into the body, and it needs them. It doesn't actually need them, it just thinks that it needs those foods. So what we need to do is to create a new plan with new foods, with new clean foods, so that the body is now fully aware of what foods we intend to put into our body and use to make sure that we have an effective digestive system. The liver is working as it should be. The function of the liver is basically a filter system. So if we put in chemicals and toxins in there, we need to ensure that it's not overworking and getting blocked and getting full up with chemicals and toxins, and not allowing the liver to work as it should. And one of its purposes is fat metabolism, which means it's working to ensure that energy that we expend during the day or at training, we're using the fat stores as energy, opposed to other sources like carbohydrates or proteins. So we'll experience all those benefits, which is great, but what do we need to do to ensure we get those benefits, and what type of foods do we need to consume, and what do we need to avoid. There's lots of sort of different ideas on what a detox is, and I've heard a lot of people believe that detox is basically liquids. We're just blending foods, and you go through 7 days of not eating foods, solid foods rather, and that's not the case. So what we need to do initially is avoid foods. Throughout the 7 to 10 days, what we need to attempt to do is avoid wheat, dairy, alcohol, caffeine, processed foods, and sugar. And by sugar I mean simple carbohydrates. You will see, I'll give you a little bit of a list where we will have, as well as sucrose, which is table sugar, we'll have some fructose, which isn't so bad in the form of fruit. But what we're trying to do is really cut down on those simple carbohydrates, which you'll find in cakes and biscuits and that type of thing. So we need to start eating good, clean food to make sure that we're not putting toxins and chemicals in the liver. So foods that you should include in the plan, and these are a great assistance to the plan that I've given you, because you will see within the plan there will be 7 breakfasts, which always starts with a smoothie. You get a smoothie start to the day, and there's a reason for that. Then you go on to lunches, which are primarily soups and salad. So again, we're getting lots of vegetables in, which is great for the body, improving and increasing metabolism. And then we have dinners. I give you 7 dinners, but the beauty of dinners is that you can take any dinner from my Metabolic Effective Eating cookbook. I've got 30 dinners in there. You can also choose any of those, but I do prefer you to keep to the 7, which I have mentioned within the 7 days of detox plan. But you can add to those meals. So if you're having a soup and you see that there's a butternut squash, and you think, can I add anything to that butternut squash because there's certain types of foods I like, then you will be able to add certain types of food which you'll find in the plan. So by all means, go through your plan and find this list, so you can add those in or use these foods as snacks. So you'll see fruit in there, and if you're approaching the detox very strict, then I would ensure that you try to keep to just berries as a fruit choice. Simply because if I just say fruit has all kinds of levels of sugar, from low sugar to high sugar, and we want to be avoiding the high sugars. The high sugars are general tropical fruit, the likes of bananas or pineapples, mangoes, papayas, that type of thing. So it is a fruit, and you think, for years and years we've been told that we should be getting 5 fruit and veg a day. So as long as we're getting fruit, that's going to be good for fat loss. But that's not the case. We need to reduce the high sugar fruit. That is throughout all of metabolic effective eating, but especially in the detox. But some people will struggle with that, so I always say, have the fruit during detox. Just try to go that extra strict and resist yourself, and resist to the berries if possible. Vegetables, there isn't really a vegetable that you shouldn't have, and you'll see that we encourage vegetables with your main meals, soups, and that's for obvious reasons. We should be aware of the benefits of vegetables and what they bring, full of antioxidants and lots of benefits that's going to improve your day-to-day function. So try to get as many vegetables as possible. The only vegetable I will tell you not to consume is a potato. Try to avoid white potatoes at all times. We need to get into the habit of avoiding white potatoes. During the detox, I would even attempt to avoid the sweet potato, which is fine in other stages of metabolic effective eating. Beans and lentils are good, so try to get as many of those as you can. Add those to your meals or have them as snacks. Your red kidney, your black eyes, your chickpeas, your lentils, your green lentils, brown lentils. Oats is good, but it needs to be 100% oats, so go for gluten-free oats, or make sure if you're choosing from the supermarket that you always choose 100% oats. We don't want any wheat in there because we've established that wheat is a no-go on detox. Snacks, a good one for snacks is rice cakes or oat cakes. In metabolic effective eating, you will see that it's a common snack to have with peanut butter, so give that a go. We're not restricting certain snacks forever, but during this we're trying to be as strict as possible, so try to keep snacks to fruit and vegetables, rice cakes and oat cakes. Nuts is another key snack where you can go for. Obviously avoid salty types of nuts. Yes, they're a high fat content, but they're good fats, so that's fine. That's going to actually help with fat metabolism, and it does have a role to play, so it is essential that we get good fats, and nuts is a good source of that. So your almonds, your Brazil nuts, your macadamias, so try to get a good variety of nuts as well. Seeds, again, try to get variety in seeds, your sunflower, your pumpkin seeds. Yogurt, make sure it's full fat Greek yogurt. We don't want any low fat. So coconut oil is another that I would suggest that you use as a cooking aid. So when you're doing your fried up foods, make sure that you keep coconut oil, or add your coconut oil or virgin olive oil as a drizzle to your salad perhaps. Lots of herbs and spices, so include your garlic, your ginger, your turmeric. All those are really good for increasing fat metabolism and burning fat, that little extra speed, so we need to include those. Honey's good as well. It is a sugar, and it's one to be careful of throughout the stages of metabolic effective eating. You will see that I'm trying to avoid sugar as much as possible, but natural sugar is always going to be better than sucrose, table sugar. Foods to stay away from, so we've mentioned the groups, the wheats and the dairy. So just to give you a little bit more of an idea what that means, we should be avoiding grains, so bread is out. Pasta, we should never, through any phase of metabolic effective eating, should we have pasta. On a rare occasions as treat, I would say maybe it's gluten-free pasta, but even try to avoid that because it does have a high sugar content. Rice is not allowed during detox, but it is allowed, both brown and white rice. What's even better is wild rice. Rice is allowed during the other stages, all other stages except detox. We need to stay away from processed foods, so that's your freezer section, your takeaway type food, your curries, your pizzas, those type of things. Anything that can be heated in a microwave for 5 minutes, so you know that that's not going to be a good product. Keep away from your takeaways. There is better choices to be made at the takeaway, but for now we're concentrating on avoiding takeaway just in case we make any wrong choices. Tin food, try to avoid all tin food, which again, there is tin food that we can have during other stages, but for now avoid tin food, avoid anything that comes packaged up. If it's in a box or if it's in a carton, then it's normally best to avoid it because we know that it's being put on the shelf in a supermarket, and it's expected to be there for a decent period of time. So there's normally lots of additives and chemicals added to make sure that it has a long life. Margarine is out. We're now having butter. You're allowed butter. Try to make it organic butter. So when you've made that choice from butter because you're getting a health scare and your doctor tells you to go to margarine, ignore that. For fat loss, we want to make sure that we have butter rather than your margarine. So other things that we need to avoid is soy products. Lots of negatives with soy products, so avoid soy products whenever possible. Fruits which I mentioned, try to avoid all fruits except berries, and rhubarb is actually another low sugar content fruit. So try to always choose berries whenever possible. No other oils except coconut oil and olive oil. Drinks, the fizzy drinks need to go out the window. No pop Coca-Cola, whether it's diet or caffeine free, whatever it advertises. We don't have any carbonated drinks, nothing in a carton. We don't have any fresh juice that is absolutely loaded. It's basically a sugar, a glass of sugar. So avoid your fruit juices, even though that you're thinking that you're getting fruit as per recommendations. It's not the type of fruit that we need to be consuming. Other little key helps that will help you is being that little bit more strict. Try to make sure vegetables is great, but always try to make sure that you go for green leafy vegetables is your first choice. So say broccoli or kale or asparagus, they're always going to be a better choice than say turnip or butternut squash. But we need variety. We need green first, and then we need to include some yellows and orange vegetables, just so that we get variety. Trying to make sure that we, if possible, we go for organic meat. So it's grass fed beef. If we're having chicken, it should be corn fed chicken. But I understand that there'll always be a cost implication, and we need to look at budget. So if you do make the decision that you can't afford organic meat, then make sure you go to your high street butcher rather than supermarkets, because I can assure you supermarkets are not selling quality meat, and it's not coming from a very good source. All white meats, your chicken and your turkey, we need to avoid pork, and we try to avoid pork at all occasions throughout metabolic effective eating. It's just a poor, as well as having a high fat content, it's just a poor source of meat, and it doesn't contain all the amino acids that we need for a protein source to ensure that we have adequate recovery after we've been training. Fish is fine, but try to avoid tin tuna, just simply because there's lots of additives going into tuna. When all else fails, yeah, by all means, but if possible, try to go for tuna steak. And if you, as we've established, we're trying to avoid tins, but during other stages, by all means, tin salmon's fine, tin sardines, tin mackerel, but for here we're avoiding, during detox, we're avoiding tins and we're avoiding tuna. We're avoiding seafood just for this 7 to 10 days, so that's things like prawns. We're trying to keep those out for now, and again, they can be introduced after the 7 days of detox. Plenty of, as I said, plenty of herbs, plenty of spices. Make sure that you make that switch. If you're using vegetable oil, make sure you make that switch to coconut oil or olive oil. So that's basically an overview, a lot to take in. Hopefully it will help. No doubt you'll have lots of questions along the way. My support comes along with the 7 days of detox. So if you're following my metabolic effective eating plan through whatever program and you need support, I'm here to answer those questions. I'm trying to give you as much help as possible. That's why I provide the hard copy of the introduction to metabolic effective eating, and hopefully this video will have helped that little bit further, and try to explain firstly what the benefits are and what the do's and don'ts. If you have got any questions, again, what I'll look to do is to build a list from you guys that are coming up pretty common, and what I'll do, I'll answer those questions. I'll put that together in a video so I can clarify maybe a few of the points that you're trying to clarify. So good luck at this stage, guys. Remember, concentrate on this stage alone. You will see that there is a next stage, and a next stage And there's lots of phases to metabolic effective eating. Ignore them, don't read up on it, don't watch any videos. For now, all I want you to do is to concentrate on the 7 days of detox. Make sure that you're aware of the plan, make sure that you've got all the foods in ready to go. You understand the kind of do's and don'ts, the foods that you should be avoiding. You will make mistakes, that's fine. Just get on with it. The next day is another day, and just make sure that you make the right choices the next day. Thanks for listening, guys.